Good ball too, and Gallagher top three again. Oh, what a goal! Two in the space of a minute for Kevin Gallagher.
Salaka on the commentary left. Great goal. Dion Dublin. Classic header. No more than commentary deserved. They've been knocking at the door, and now they've found the way through.
It goes towards Best. It's 1-0 to Coventry. The man in the mask has broken the deadlock.
Jamie Allen threads the ball through. Fantastic finish from Matty Gordon. Barely 90 seconds gone.
Well, good evening and welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. This is our Thursday night edition. I'm Milesy and I hope you're all going to enjoy yourselves tonight. What a show we've got coming on for you. We've got a couple of guests coming on. We've got a special guest from Stoke who's going to give us our little rundown on what we're expecting this Saturday. We've got a guest that hasn't been on here for quite a while, so that he'll be coming on as well. We've got our regulars as well coming on. But before we do all this, just a few things to go through first, because obviously we're sponsored by Dillon's and the Sky Blue Tavern. Just a couple of things to show you. If you're going up to Dillon's this Saturday, it's an April Fool's promotion. I don't know if this is early, but, you know, if you're going to wear pink, they're going to get you a free pint. So if you wear pink from 10 a.m. on Saturday down at Dillon's, you'll get a free pint. So if you've got your pink Cov City shirt, there's no excuses there, but you'll get a free pint out of them. If you're looking to get to the game, and you're coming by train and you can't get to the ground, or you want to go into the town first, you can nip off to the old Sky Blue Tavern, book your tickets on the minibus, £2 each way, and you can win a meal from that as well. So if you get your names into the hat, you can win yourselves a meal. There's also got cocktails. Every Sunday to Thursday, 2 cocktails for a tenner. You can't go wrong with that one, especially Monday night when we're down there and we'll be interviewing the old Ben Wilson and... guess who? Victor Gyökeres. Yes, top goal scorer is going to be there as well. That's going to be some night. It's already sold out, so if you haven't got a ticket, unfortunately, you won't be able to get in, but it's going to be an absolute mental night. Also, from down at the tavern on match day, 11 a.m. till 12 p.m, it's $1.99 for a Carlin or a Sky Blue Army. And Dillon's is back, as you can see, versus Stoke. Opens at 11 o'clock. Get yourselves down there. And if you want to watch the big fight over the weekend, Saturday, 1st of April, get yourselves down to the Sky Blue Tavern. And they've got Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin on. So let's get on with the show. We've got a few people already messaging in. I just want to put this one. Oi, oi, roller coaster fans. Good evening, Russ. Yeah, what a weekend that was. We'll come on to that a little bit later, because I haven't been on since we've been to Blackpool. I've not been very well. I've just recovered, to be fair. But, you know, we'll get on with this and see how it goes. I might cough in between, but never mind. Right, we're going to get our regular one. Mark Smith, good evening, mate.
Good evening, Milesy. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Brilliant. And we got Victoria. Good evening, Victoria. You're on mute. She's on mute again.
Oh, no.
Good start.
Good evening, Victoria.
Cut that about. Good evening, you okay?
All good. Then we got John Baker. Good evening, John. Not been on for a while. I know you were on last year sometime, but good evening, mate.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Good. And then we have got Potter Lytics, Graham. George, sorry, not Graham, George. I'm getting it all wrong tonight. Tell I've been off for 2 weeks, can't you? Good evening, George, from Pottalytics. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Good to be here.
Sorry about that intro.
Don't worry, it's good. You've got to make away teams feel a bit hostile, haven't you?
I'm a little bit rusty. As I say, I've been off for 2 weeks. But just going into, we're going to go start off the evening. We're going to talk a little bit about Stoke. Later on, we're going to talk a little bit about... between John, Vicky and Mark and myself, our favourite player, our worst player, our favourite goal and our favourite game. So that's coming up a little bit later on. But we're going to crack on with the first half of the show. with George, and anyone on the panel here or anyone got any questions flying in, please send them in and we'll try and ask them for you. And also, if you have got your favourite player, you've got your favourite goal or favourite game or whatever, message us and we'll try and read it out a little bit later on for you. We'll try and get through as many messages as we can. So, George, looking forward to a game after a 2-week break from international. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's funny, actually. It's probably the first international break in about 5 years where Stoke fans probably are looking forward to games. It's not been a great season, but for some reason, since February, there's been a big shift around, and we're in pretty good nick, actually.
Yeah, I mean, your form has changed, hasn't it? In the last, I think, is it 6 matches? You beat Blackburn 3-2, Middlesbrough 1-1, Norwich 0-0. I mean, them 3 results absolutely superb, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that surprised us is that, there's been games where we've scraped draws against good teams or scraped through, but all 3 of those games, you could at least arguably say we probably deserved something more than a point from them. Particularly looking at the Middlesbrough game, we've been trying to press high and trying to play very aggressive up the pitch. And I think a lot of people went into the Middlesbrough game thinking it's not going to work at the Riverside. There's not been many teams who've managed that. And, we very easily could have come away from that game with 3 points.
I mean, you mentioned Middlesbrough there. You've obviously played Burnley this season. And Sheffield United. Burnley, well, Burnley's running away with it. Sheffield United and Middlesbrough are fighting for it now. Out of those 3, who do you think's been the best team out of those 3 that you've played?
It's a difficult one to say. I think Middlesbrough, when we played them at home, it was very early in the season, so we didn't get too much from it. I'm going to have to say Middlesbrough, but I'm a bit biased because I've watched them in other games as well. And really big fan of Michael Carrick and what he's done there. So I would say probably they've been the most interesting for me to watch.
Yeah, I think we've got Middlesbrough last game of the season, and the way we're knocking on the door of the playoffs, it could be a very squeaky bum game, to be honest with you. I think it could be edge of the seats. It could go down that way. I've got just a quick question while we're on about Stoke and everything else. Scott Blue Sam's put in here, how's Dujon Sterling doing? Because he was on loan with us a few seasons ago. How's he been getting on? Because he went a little bit quiet. He went off to Wigan. We thought we'd get him back, but we didn't. And I don't think it worked out for him at Wigan. How's he fared in at Stoke?
He's been doing really well in recent weeks. We've dropped back into playing a 4 at the back, which is not something we were doing earlier in the season quite so much. And he's been a really, really solid presence there. He's played quite a few of the recent games at left back as well. And yeah, it just seems like a really solid one-on-one defender and, getting forward and calm on the ball as well. So I think Stoke fans generally have been really impressed with him.
And someone's put in here that Coventry were linked to Morgan Fox during the summer. I mean, how's he been performing? Is he someone that Coventry could be interested in? Is he interested on moving on, or?
It's an interesting one with Fox. I think, as far as I'm aware, his contract is out in the summer. He was brought in essentially as a kind of he's been mostly a squad player in his time at Stoke. And sort of successive transfer windows have not quite been able to get the right centre-backs and left-backs as well. He's been a bit of a utility player at centre-back and left-back, and he's done pretty okay. I don't think he's the kind of player Stoke will want as the first choice in that defence going forward. But also, he's quite a sort of very useful utility player under a couple of managers now. So it'd be interesting to see whether Stoke do offer him a new contract. I can certainly see him fitting in at any other Championship club, particularly as that utility man. Yeah.
I mean, I know, like your form, recently before the run that you've been having, Alex Scott came under a lot of pressure, didn't he? And
Thanks, Neil.
We've been asked here by Glenn. Do you think that he is the man to get you back to where you are, pushing for promotion? Because obviously, I remember hearing on the news a few months ago, everyone was asking for his head, sort of thing. So, is it him that's turned it around? Is it something else that's turned it around? What do you think's changed everything at Stoke so far?
It's a strange one. I mean, in terms of whether he's the man for promotion, it's quite difficult to say. We've had quite a few sort of false dawns at Stoke, and moments where we've thought, oh, we've turned the corner now, and then it doesn't quite work out that way. So I'd hesitate to say everything's going to be rosy forever. But I think since the transfer window, we've managed to get in a couple of players that have just really helped Alex Neil play the way he wants to play. Ben Pearson coming in has been an absolute revelation in the midfield for letting the other players, do their work further forward. Axel Twanzebe coming in at centre-back again, really calm on the ball and just helped us with playing through the presses, helped us with, when we lose the ball in transition and things like that, where we did have issues beforehand. But yeah, it's a strange one. His style seems to be now coming into fruition. And if that can carry on and we can make some good signings in the summer, which hopefully will be our first summer where we're almost free of the FFP shackles to a degree, at least for a while. Hopefully we'll be able to push for that. But yeah, it's positive at the minute, but it's a positive 2 months rather than a certainty at this point.
And you mentioned style of play. What sort of style of play are we expecting at the CBS on Saturday? Because obviously the way you go in, your form's changed. It's completely different to what we came up against early on in the season when we beat you at home. You had a lot of possession in the first half of that game, if I remember right, and then the second half we sort of turned the game within a space of 10, 15 minutes. What sort of football are we expecting this weekend? And what can we expect, Coventry fans, from Stoke?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, obviously there's a chance that a certain type of Stoke could turn up and the game won't be too difficult for you, but touch wood, that hasn't been happening much recently. I think if you get the kind of Stoke that we've been seeing in recent weeks, it's very combative, very athletic. We're going to look to sort of set traps and press and win the ball high up the pitch and stop you from being able to build your own game in that sense. So it'll be interesting to see how the two styles of play of Coventry and Stoke kind of merge together in the game. But it's certainly going to be one where, Stoke in recent weeks haven't been lying down or just letting people come onto them.
And how do you cope with a high press? Because some games we really do high press. Some games we let teams come on at us and then we catch them on the break, which sort of worked against Blackpool the other week. But I mean, how do you think Stoke can cope with the high press? Are they vulnerable at the back, or are you quite solid that you can cope with it? Because we do sort of tend to press, especially when it comes to probably the last half an hour of a game. If it's still 0-0, we'll try and pull the pressure straight onto you.
Yeah, it's a case of two halves of the season. First half of the season, Stoke were very vulnerable to conceding the most stupid of goals. I remember one of the ones when you were at our place was just a hoof over the top, and the two defenders were split, and you're straight through, and it's a goal, and that's it. In recent weeks, we've been pretty confident at playing out from the back and sort of playing past presses, but we're not scared of kind of getting the ball forward if we need to. There's quick athletic players up front. So, like I say, if you choose to press high, I'd be surprised if we don't start sort of playing through those traps and trying to get it forward pretty quickly.
So we're not expecting long ball then, hoof ball. We're expecting a nice game of football. Do you think?
I would hesitate to say a game against Alex Neil would be nice for anyone. I think that's probably one of the good things we've seen in the past few weeks, actually, is that we've not, a lot of the teams we played against have said, oh God, we were really rubbish today. And I think that's probably the best sort of, sign of that Alex Neil's football is working, that people feel they're playing pretty poorly against us.
I've got one for you here. Do you know this chap, Ian Bowman? He says, "We are Stoke."
I can't say I do, but I'm glad there's some Stoke fans watching in.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? That's good. Good evening, Ian. It's good to see some Stoke fans. He's also put up the Potters as well. Lads, you got any questions at the moment?
Yeah, I've got one question for George. So, last game, I think Jacob Brown played up front, and obviously Dwight Gale played up front. He obviously got a couple of goals against Sunderland. I mean, is Brown expected to start up front for this game, or will Dwight Gale come back?
As far as I'm aware, I think Dwight Gale was injured for that game. It's pretty much been favoured as Tyrese Campbell on the left, Dwight Gale up front, and then Brown on the right. We're in a position where those are the three senior forward players we have. I think in the last game, it might have been Hoover, the right back, who was playing on the right wing. So I'd be surprised, aside from any injuries, I'd be surprised if it was a different front three from Brown, Gale and Campbell.
Yeah.
John, you got anything?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask about Dwight Gale. Actually, I'm a Coventry fan exiled in Peterborough, so I know quite a bit about Dwight Gale. How's he been getting on? Because he hasn't exactly been prolific, has he, to say the least? And he is a decent player. I think we'd all agree that there's a good player in there. But how's he been getting on for Stoke overall?
It depends who you ask. In the first half of the season, it was pretty poor. It kind of looks like a little bit of that movement that he used to have that got him into those positions for goals is not quite there anymore. He did score a few offside goals early in the season, which became a bit of a running joke when it said Dwight Gale scored. Well, it's definitely offside then. But yeah, it's that kind of thing where he appears to have changed completely what type of player he is. We're not seeing him pushing into the box and getting chances in the 6-yard box like we saw with West Brom all those years ago. He's almost dropping deep and playing like a number 10. So I wouldn't expect to see the same Dwight Gale that you probably picture in your head. But in recent games, he's been playing really well. He's part of that sort of front three that's been really strong at pressing and breaking down other teams, albeit not necessarily as a kind of poacher or a goal scorer. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one for him. I think he's probably just age catching up to him, I suppose.
And your formation-wise, how do you think you're set up Saturday?
I would be shocked if it's not a similar kind of 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 that we've been playing in the past 6 weeks. Neil does sometimes like to tinker against specific opposition, but I would be surprised if, given our success recently, it's not a pretty predictable team, that 4-3-3.
And what sort of atmosphere do you think we'll get with the fans? How many tickets have you sold, do you know?
I don't know 100% how many we've sold. No, I think when they first came out, it was still the thoughts of train strikes on the weekend. So now I know they've been cancelled now, but it'll be interesting to see how many make it. It's quite a close away day. I managed to get to it last year and it was a flat atmosphere after your goal. But before that, I think it was okay. So you're seeing upbeat Stoke fans at the minute as opposed to possibly what you might have seen earlier in the season in away games.
Yeah. And how's the fans been at home? I mean, how's the atmosphere been there? Because I mean, it is a fortress, isn't it? I mean, especially on a winter's day with that wind blowing through the corners of the ground, it does get very chilly up there. But I mean, how's the fans been reacting up at the stadium there over in Stoke?
It's interesting again. It's that 2 months ago the fans were chanting "You're not fit to wear the shirt" at players, but then the last game at Norwich it was a 0-0, but we were pressing for goals, and you could kind of feel there was a buzz coming back. So I think it's just starting to kick back into the sort of the Bet365 stadium that we've all been used to over the years before we got relegated. Yeah.
I mean, we were there, obviously, last game of the season last year as well. It seemed quite a subdued atmosphere, wasn't it? I think, if I remember right, the end of last season. Now, Claudio's popped up here. Good evening, Claudio. Will the Stoke fans be singing Delilah now that it seems inappropriate, or will they just be, sticking their fingers up to the Snowflake Brigade and getting on with the song?
I think it would take a lot to stop Stoke fans from singing Delilah. I know the clubs sort of distance themselves from it a little bit officially, but it's never going to go away in the stands, I don't think.
And who have we got to really look out for on Saturday? Obviously, we've got threats like with Big Vic, and now Ben Sheaf's come back from injury, is a masterclass in midfield. Gus Hamer with his passing. Who have we really got to look out for? Who have we got to really be scared of?
Well, the funny one is probably Keanu Hoover. He's scored, I think, 75% of his career goals in the past 4 games. So possibly him. But in terms of the 2 main threats, I think Tyrese Campbell is just that kind of player who can beat someone and score a goal from nothing. And then Josh Laurent as well has been absolutely exceptional pretty much all season. Just, that cliched sort of Rolls Royce midfielder who can break teams down for you kind of thing. So yeah, I think those are the main 2.
And keeper wise, have you got a number one that's always been in there, or have they been rotating this season? Because we started off with Simon Moore at the beginning of the season, and then we've gone back to Ben Wilson. I think it's 18 clean sheets now, isn't it? Yeah, 18 clean sheets for us. Ben Wilson's solid in there. I mean, how are your goalkeepers faring?
Not quite so solid, I'll be honest. This is one part of the team where I think most Stoke fans are pretty worried. We sold Joseph Bursick, who was in theory the number one goalkeeper, but it was switching between him and Jack Bonham. We signed Sarkic on loan from Wolves in January, who was pretty solid for 6 or 7 games, and then is now sadly out for a couple of months, I think. And it's back to Bonham. It's an area where I think Stoke fans are hoping you won't have many shots.
And you're vulnerable. Yeah. You're vulnerable. Is that your most vulnerable then, the goalkeeper?
I would say so. Yeah, I think that sort of you look at the numbers of the shots they've let in, and it doesn't make for nice reading. But then again, past 6 games, again, admittedly not had a lot of saves to make, but generally been okay. So everyone's just kind of hoping and praying that he doesn't throw it in his net or something.
So these results that you've been on, is it sort of through the midfield that's stopping? You said you have not had many shots to save. Is that because it's being blocked out by the 3 in the middle and then the 2 just in front?
Yeah, so we've had a pretty strong kind of. There's a sort of pressing unit of 3 at the front who are drawing the opposition into areas. And as soon as that opposition goes long, we've got, people like Pearson and Laurent and Twanzebe and Wilmot who are just straight into their men to just try and get the ball off them straight away. So you'll see a lot of that trap, I imagine, on Saturday. And it's whether you can win the 1v1 battles in those scenarios. If you can, then, it's risky for Stoke. We're being brave to go man-to-man. But if you can't win it, then we've got a really good chance of kind of pushing up and threatening you in transition. So I'd watch out for that on Saturday. Yeah,
well, that's something we have to keep a lookout. Any more questions, guys, before we go score predictions?
No, nothing.
No, we've got Ian Bowman's popped up here for you here, George. He's gone still unsure about Bonham. He's improved, but what's the but, Ian? What's the but?
I think however many ... that was there is probably the right way to write it for most Stoke fans.
No, not keen on him then.
I think a perfectly fine backup. I would be surprised if he's the number one after this season.
Yeah. All right, we go to some score predictions. We go to the panel first. The comments that have come in for some scores. Let's get some up here so you can have a little look at these. We got Mini 1978 1-1 draw. Could be on the cards. We thought we'd beat Hull and we didn't. We ended up drawing 1-1. 3-0 Cov, Gyökeres hat-trick. Then we got Mick Davenport, City to win 3-1. Tired Gyökeres only scoring 1, Sheaf and Godden the other. We'll go to scores then. We'll go to you first, John. What do you reckon, Gary, what you've heard so far tonight? What do you make of it all? How do you think we're going to set up on Saturday? Do you think we're going to sneak it, or is it going to be a draw?
Well, what I worry about, I know it's not as long a break as the World Cup, but I do worry a little bit. Remember that game against Reading when we returned and it was flat as a pancake and we lost 1-0? I hope it isn't something like that. We said already that Stoke are in good form. We haven't lost at Stoke since 2008. For what it's worth. I just had a quick look. We've only played them about 5 or 6 times, so stats can mean anything. I'm going to go with Mini. I'm going to go with the 1-1.
1-1. Well, Ian Bowman's come back on. He's gone 3-1 Stoke, of course. Yeah, it could go either way. We'll go with you, Vicky. What do you reckon?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because both teams went into the international break in good form. Both us and Stoke were good, and probably none of us really wanted the international break, did we? We wanted to really carry on with the form. But I think from what George has said, we're also very much 2 teams that you don't know what team's going to turn up. So we could be great, or we could just not be. You just don't know what's going to happen until kick-off. But I'm going to be optimistic and say that we're going to carry on with our good form and go 2-1 to the Sky Blues.
Okay. Mark Smith. Oh, is it sit on fence time? What are we doing this weekend?
Well, it's going to be a tough game. That's one thing I will say. I mean, Stoke, I think they've won 7 on the road away. I think they've lost 8. And I think they've actually got a positive goal difference of +1. So they are a decent team on their travels. I think what I will say is it's going to be a much harder game than... It would be a much different Stoke team to the team that we played in the previous match at Stoke, where I thought they were, second half, particularly Stoke, were atrocious. But I think this is going to be a much harder game now Saturday. Yeah, I'm probably going to sit on the fence again. I'm going to 1-1. I think I kind of go what John says, though, in the sense that I do worry about the break, what impact it's going to have on the players. But it could go either way, to be honest. It's one of them games, both teams are in good form. We can beat them on our day, but we can lose to Stoke on our day as well. So it's a difficult one. But as long as we don't lose to them, I think, but we need to win. We're at home in the day. We've got to target this game as a win. Can we do it? I'm just gonna err on the side. I just think 1-1 for me. I'm just not quite confident for this one.
Okay, no problem at all. And we've got Dave Percival. Good evening, Dave. Glad you're watching, mate. He's gone 1-1 as well. So that's there's quite a few people saying that. Also, Claudio's come in. He's gone, if results go our way, we could end up in the top 6. But he thinks it's going to be a 1-1 and sit on the fence. So, George, we're going to come to you, mate. I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, we are in tremendous form at the moment. I mean, what are you thinking? For Saturday coming up.
The Stoke fan in me is saying that we've had too many nice things in the past 6 weeks, and we're due not having. We can't have too many in a row. But no, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 2-1 Stoke, with the proviso that if we do lose, I don't want Coventry fans in my Twitter mentions.
Would be nice, though.
Are you coming Saturday? Are you?
No, unfortunately not. No, I'll be watching from my home in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Joking,
hey, we know. Hey, lads.
Hey,
we know where to go for our holidays. We like you, George.
Yeah,
you're great.
The internet will say I'm in the Cayman Islands anyway, so it's close enough.
It's better for Blackpool, Miles, I think.
No, I don't know about that.
The second favourite.
Yeah. No, I don't think it is, actually. But Russ Watkin has come up. He says 3-3. Cool, high-scoring game. That'd be exciting, wouldn't it, after the international break? That'd get us the blood boiling. And hopefully the weather's going to be warmer this weekend. Now spring's here and the clocks have gone forward. Well, listen, George, it's been absolutely fantastic you joining us tonight. Thank you so much for your time and coming on. Good luck for the rest of the season. We say this to everyone, but after Saturday.
Yeah. Same to you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Been great.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Brilliant. Right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to go to a little quick ad break. We're going to go to a quick ad break and we'll be straight back. Yeah, and welcome back to Sky Blue Fans TV. We've had the first half of the show. We had our Stoke fan on here giving us his predictions and how his team is going to perform on Saturday. And then we'll get to, now we're going to go to the second half, and we'll bring our guest back very shortly. Just to get a reminder again, don't forget Dylan's is back this Saturday, 11 o'clock. Get yourselves down there just before the game. Go and have a couple of beers, and even after. And enjoy the music from Smithy. DJ Smithy will be down there. Also, if you wear something pink, you'll get a free pint. I don't think it's an April Fool's thing because they've already put it up. So if they have put it up too early and it is a fool's joke, then fool me for advertising it. But I'll believe them. Free pint if you wear something pink on Saturday. Don't forget as well, down at the Sky Blue Tavern, just before 12 o'clock, between 11 and 12, it's $1.99 for a pint of Carling Sky Blue Army. And between Sunday and Thursdays, 2 cocktails for £10. So if you're coming on Monday night to see the boys, Victor and also Ben Wilson, you can enjoy some cocktails while you're down there with a nice curry. And if you live in the city centre or you don't want to drive up to the ground, park your car near Sky Blue Tavern, jump on the minibus, £2 there, £2 back. And also you can win a prize as well if you get on that minibus. So we're going to, and also don't forget the big fight tomorrow night as well, Saturday night. Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin down at the Sky Blue Tavern. So we're going to bring our guests back. We've got Mark. All right, Mark?
Oh, hello.
We've got Vicky. All right, Vicky?
All right.
And we got John.
Hey.
How are you, mate?
Good,
right,
thanks.
so, good. Now, listen. What do you reckon then? International break. The boys went out there. We had Callum Doyle. We had Norton Cuffy. And we had the big Swede. We'll start off with Callum Doyle and Norton Cuffy. I think Cuffy got an assist in one of the games. Do you reckon it's done them good getting that international football in, Mark? Go with you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's good. It's always good that they get noticed by the country, by England and that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if he starts on Saturday. I'd be interested to see what happens. I didn't think Dave had a particularly great game at Blackpool. But in all honesty, I thought he was pretty poor in the first half. He was slightly better second half, but then the game was pretty much won by then. So not sure which way to go on that one. But yeah, I think for those two guys, yeah, it's good to get some minutes under the belt. I think we're all glad that Jokeres hasn't got injured, though, aren't we? Really, it's good that he did well for Sweden, particularly in the second match. So, yeah, it's all about Saturday now. It's can they put on the show and get that result?
Yeah, I think for me, John, the key is, like Mark's just said, they didn't get injured, but they've kept fit while they've been doing this as well. So even if they come back this week to training and they don't train for a couple of days, they've been training while they've been away, where the others who haven't been away on international duty have had to do their own training. I mean, would you agree with that? That that's good about that they've been playing, so they're keeping themselves fit, ready for Saturday.
Well, it is, and it's only when you actually think about it. I know it's an international, but it's still 2 games in a week. We've been playing 2 games in a week for ages anyway, haven't we? Yeah. And Jokered's been playing up front with Ibrahimovic, a brilliant thing for him to be doing. And he scored, got an assist. So yeah, he's got to be coming back with a lot of confidence. They all have, they've all had good seasons, great seasons in his case. While he was away, 4-4-2 came out and he was named the best player in the EFL as well. And since they've been doing that for the past 20 years or so, we've had the odd player in the top 10. We've never had one at number 1. And that was, enormous sense of pride that Coventry have who is regarded as the best player in the EFL. So yeah, he should be absolutely ready to go tomorrow. All 3 of them should be.
And Vic, with Big Vic, right? I mean, I've seen a picture of him on social media with Ibrahimovic, both of them together. I mean, that's got to really give him a boost, hasn't it, going into the remainder of this season now, do you think?
Oh, definitely. Just experience, isn't it? Going out, playing international football. I think I'm playing alongside players like that who've done it all, really, haven't they? I think it's what he can aspire to be, isn't it, really? And it gives him, and we can only benefit from that for the end of the season. And I mean, who knows what will happen in the summer, but we've still got 8 games to enjoy the best of him and see where that takes us.
I mean, for Vic as well, to get a goal, get an assist in the second game.
Definitely.
And, I mean, absolutely superb for him. It's really, he's got to be coming back buzzing and really raring to go, even though he wasn't before he went. But surely he's going to be on cloud 9 now, isn't he?
That's it. And like you said, it's just good that they all got there without any injury. I think especially him and Doyle, because obviously they're both integral to our sort of starting 11. Like Norton Cuffey drops in and out. So I think probably from an experience point of view, it was best for Norton Cuffey because he's probably the player that's still developing the most. So Hill got the most from it from that point of view. But it's just nice that all 3 went, got that experience, and have come back without any injuries. And we can get on with our proper football now.
Well, I mean, it's just come up here, and I thought that, and I did think this. The under-20s played 3 games. I'm not sure if the boys played all 3 games or played for all the games for 90 minutes. I'm not too sure, but I had a lot going on this week. Boys 18th and everything. I just didn't see anything, to be honest with you. But 3 games for them boys over the week. I mean, it's a lot of football for them, but. Do you think they're capable of keeping that up, Mark? Playing that sort of football and then coming back to the Championship Saturday?
Who knows? I hope so. I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, how many games did the guys play? Is it 3 games? How many
3 games.
They actually played all 3. Yeah, Doyle probably what that too. I mean, I think probably Dabo will probably start on Saturday. I don't see Cuffy starting, but yeah, a bit concerned about the number of games. That is quite a lot to be playing in a short space of time. So it's a tricky decision for Robbins to make. But that's his job. He's got to assess the fitness of the players and make them decisions. So I mean, Doyle's been I'd say an 8 out of 10 player for us this season. He's got progressively better as the season's gone on, but also he's actually quite good going forward as well. Not to forget, he's got a decent shot on him. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's down to the coaching staff to make a decision. I'd like to see him start. I'm not sure about I'm not sure about Norton Cuffey. But then again, Dabo's had a poor match, so that's an interesting dilemma for Robbins to make. I don't think we've got. I just think. I mean, I think Russ made this point in the last show about the fitness of Dabo. I think that's been the main problem. Is he hasn't quite been the same player with all his injuries. So, he's not the same player like he was a couple of seasons ago, where he looked razor sharp. So, yeah, there's a few dilemmas there for Robbins to make on Saturday, definitely.
And John, we've got Panzo coming back. We've got Michael Rose that could fill in at the back. We've got Jamie Allen coming back. So they're looking, Panzo and Allen are looking like they could come back. Do you think Robbins could be tempted to play them two instead of Doyle and Cuffey?
Maybe. Because we shouldn't forget how good Panzo was for a long time at the start of the season. He's got sort of a bad rap. He made a few bad passes in one of the games. I forget which one it was. But up until about, mid-November, he was absolutely superb. So I'm sure he could come in. I'm not sure. Rose is a strange one because I'm not sure he's ever quite been the leader that we might want from him at some point, but very capable of doing it. And well, Allen overall, lots of goals this season that we didn't expect him to get. And up until his injury, he was in superb form. So if he comes back, that will surely be a benefit to us. Although, some of the others like Howley and etc. have done really well in his absence. So it'll be interesting to see.
And Vic, I mean, like John's just said about Howley, and I'll bring another name in there, Eccles. Do you think he won't change Eccles for Allen? Do you think he'll stick with the formation in the middle there, and that we know that has worked for the last 4 or 5 games without Allen? Do you think it's worth doing that? Do you think it's worth keeping it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? And I suppose Robbins doesn't have an idea what he wants to do. I mean, for me, I think Eccles has done enough to deserve to keep his place. I think and it's been nice that he's been able to have a regular run of games in his preferred position, because he's been very much used as a sort of, I suppose, like the utility type player for like playing at the back if we need him and things like that. So it's been really nice that he's been able to get a run of games in his preferred position, and I think he's looked like excellent, and I think he deserves to. So I think I would be disappointed if he gets dropped the minute Allen's fit, and not to say that Allen doesn't deserve a chance to get back in the squad, because he's done his job this season too. But I think on the basis of where we're at, you just got to keep Eccles in for me. I think, and yeah.
Cool, brilliant. And now listen, here's one, and I know he's done this on purpose. I know exactly he's done this on purpose, and the next time I see him, I'm going to wring his neck. Glenn, what are you doing to me? Godden and Walker to start Saturday. No, listen, honest, Walker, for me, okay, over the last few weeks has done really, really well. He's upped his game. Very impressed with his work ethic and everything else. I've got not a bad thing to say about him. In the last 3 or 4 games, he's been absolutely superb. When he came on against Preston, I thought he put himself about, and since that game, he's really improved. But do you think that could happen, Mark? Godden and Walker up front Saturday?
I think it's a strong chance that Tyler Walker will start up front on Saturday with Gyökeres, because I thought he had
not Godden.
Well,
not Godden.
What, you're saying Walker and Godden up front together?
Yeah, that's what Glenn's saying. Look.
No, he's put Orr.
Has he put Orr? Oh, sorry, Orr. Yeah. Sorry, sorry, Glenn.
I'd be worried if that was the case. I think I would go Tyler Walker to start at Gyökeres. I thought they actually played really well together at Blackpool, and I don't see why you'd change it. And I think I'd probably keep the team unchanged actually for this game. I thought Jamie Adams, it's good that he's back, but we won convincingly at Blackpool. Although we had a couple of things go away, I have to be brutally honest, but let's forget about that. But I thought, I know Godden scored. Going back to the original question, I know Godden scored, which was great to see. But I think Walker's done enough, to keep his place, and I think he's got plenty to prove. So, in my opinion, that we go in with Walker and see what happens. If things don't, if we're losing, we've got options. So, that's my view.
And John, what do you make to that?
Well, Godden's been doing quite well when he's come on anyway, hasn't he? He might be more of that sort of impact striker at the end anyway, because with his injury record, playing a whole game is something that's quite a rarity for him nowadays anyway. I don't think any of us have ever really known quite what to make of Walker at times, have we? I mean, he's had games where he's barely touched the ball. The last few games he ran around quite a lot, and he scored against Huddersfield as well, of course, a few weeks ago. So why not give him a chance? We have been playing well with 9 unbeaten or whatever. There isn't really any need immediately to change it. So, let's go with a side that's winning games, or at least not losing them anyway.
Yeah. I just want to bring up a congratulations to the younger team making it through to the Birmingham Senior Semi-Final Cup. I mean, it's going to be on a Wednesday evening. I think it's the Wednesday after Blackburn away, I think it is. Are you going to be going, Victoria?
Good chance. I like things like that. It's nice to see the younger generation coming through well, isn't it? I think we've been quite lucky with that in recent years, with fairly successful youth team setups, haven't we? So that's just nice, and it'd be nice if they can get a decent following to support them, won't it?
Yeah, I think it's up at the CBS as well. So I was just trying to find the ticket prices. I can't find them.
I'm sure they'll make something sensible, won't they?
Yeah, it is. It is. John, what do you make of it? The young lads getting to the semi-finals. I mean, it's superb, isn't it, to see the young talent? I mean, the under-21s won the league last year at Bristol. These young lads are in the Birmingham Senior Cup now. I mean, it's superb, isn't it, mate?
And we do have a pedigree with young players over the years, don't we? A lot of young players who've made the grade. You just mentioned players like Eccles and Howley and many, many others, Burrows, over the years who've come up through the ranks. Going further back, the Wilsons of this that we've had. So always good, promising. Let's get them get them into the first team if they're good enough. Maybe not this season, but maybe, next season or the season after that.
Well, you've only got to look at Callum Wilson and James Maddison playing for England, what our youth academy does. I mean, Mark, we've brought some quality through it with Tom Bayliss, Jordan Shipley. That's just a few of the names that have come through the ranks. I mean, it makes you proud, doesn't it, to be a Cov City fan, to see all these youngsters coming through the ranks. And like the other night, Maddison had a fantastic... I didn't see it, unfortunately, but Maddison had a cracking game, apparently, on Sunday night, and it's just a credit to the club and everything, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. But also, the current team have got players from the youth academy. Josh Eccles, Jack Burrows. I think George Burrows is knocking on the door as well. So yeah, I mean, there's some really good talent at the football club, and that's the thing. And one, we'll say, throw a lot of money at players, but it just goes to show you don't have to do that. If the talent is there, you've got to give them a chance. And I think that's the great thing about Coventry City, is that if you're good enough, you'll get in. As simple as that. If you prove your worth, you take the opportunity, then you have a really, really good, potential successful future in the game, as you mentioned there with Callum Wilson, James Maddison, who've been fantastic for their respective clubs. So yeah, I think it's really good to see, and hopefully that continues into the future.
Yeah, that's what's definitely good as well, though, isn't it? The players can see that they've got a road, because there's been players that have led that trail for them, and they can say that if they play well at youth team level, they will get a chance at this club, and we will push players through. And so that, I mean, there's other clubs that wouldn't do that at all. You don't see any youth program at all, really. So it gives that ambition that they can see, I can follow in that player's footsteps. Young players now will be looking at people like Eccles and Burrows that are coming through and thinking that could be me in a few seasons' time if I keep on playing well. By the way, Miles, it's £6 for adults and £2 for children.
Well done. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, superb. That's ace. Yeah, we'll be there anyway. I mean, we've got a long journey home from Blackburn, but we'll be there. Glenn's put up here. Problem is that the under-20s, they've got a tournament in May and June that clashes with the playoffs for Doyle and Cuffy.
We've got to get there first.
We've got to get there first. Shut up. We are getting there first. Stop it, will ya? God, he always does this, doesn't he, Vic? He always does this. I just want to talk a little bit about Doug King. We'll get on to some comments very short. Yeah, there's that £6. Doug King. I mean, the guys come in, and I've seen pictures today. I didn't have a chance to get them up on here, but Brighton training ground, they've showed pictures that they've ripped all the pitch up now. They put some drainage in. They put the fencing up. They've moved the fencing back, so the training pitches are going to be bigger. The old facility is going to be bigger. But not only that, the club shop's open in the city centre today. I mean, what's he doing? What's this guy doing? This is normal stuff for a football club that's starting to happen for Coventry City. I mean, what do you make to his start, Mark? Doug King. I mean, what do you make to his start?
Well, I put a tweet out this week. I think he's immersed himself really, really well. It's a really good start. He's really built a fantastic relationship with the players, with the manager, the fans, Mike Ashley, all the sort of the key stakeholders of the football club. And he's been true to his word. He said when he came into the job that Big Vic wouldn't be sold in January, and he wasn't sold in January. What happened in the summer is another story. You look at the kit situation. We're all bemoaning the fact that we're going to lose Hummel, and now we haven't got, and Hummel will be with us next season and beyond, hopefully. So
that's down to us, Mark. That's down to us. Our poll we put on Twitter. I reckon Will King seeing it sent it on to Doug, and he's gone. We've got to keep Hummel. That's down to us, mate. That's down to Sky Blue Fans TV. We're having that one.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's just. I think the fans. We always chant about Doug King every game, and that just shows that the fans are really behind him. He's made a very, very impressive start. There's still work to do. That's not sort of thing that what the job's done. There's a lot of work to do. There's still contracts that there's still players we want to keep. Obviously, it's great news that Ben Sheaf signed another contract for another couple of years, which is great. but there's other players that we want to sign on as well. Obviously, we all know about Victor Gyökeres, and that's another story. But Hamer, O'Hare, our contract's up to 24. Massey Godden as well. So there's still work to do on the playing front. And obviously we've got the ground situation. Hopefully I think there's a lot of positive talks with Mike Ashley. So hopefully we can get a long-term, agreement with the Frasers group. And obviously then that will then, I'm sure, hopefully be followed by announcements about season ticket prices. So yeah, look, he's done a fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. He's made a great start. I think the rapport he's built with the fans is brilliant. I think his brother on social media has been fantastic. The way he's a big supporter of the club. There's good communication. I think the communication's better. I felt with the previous owners it was very poor. The only time you heard from Joyce apart was when we got promoted from League One in that party. Because other than that, never heard of anything out of there. So, but that's in the past. But yeah, I mean, so much to be positive about, and looking forward to the summer. It's gonna be a big summer ahead. There's no bounds about whatever division we're in. So there's still work to do, but all in all, fantastic start. 8 or 9 out of 10 so far for me.
Brilliant. And John, what do you make to old Dougie boy? I mean, it was amazing at Blackpool the other week. Nearly 4,000 singing the song. It was ringing around the stadium. Even the Blackpool podcasters and that they you couldn't even hear them talking when they were doing their streams. You watch it back, and Lee Charles, you couldn't even hear him and his missus talking. We were that loud. I mean, what do you make to Doug King so far?
Well, he just seems like a very personable person, doesn't he? We've had years of Bond villains owning us, basically, or sort of replicants from Blade Runner, just not real human beings, haven't we, for a long time? Like you say, Sapala sitting there with her sunglasses on, looking for all the world like she doesn't give a... Exactly. And he's communicating a lot more. As Mark said, his brother as well, they're great value on social media. And he's more sort of like almost an old-fashioned owner, aren't they? Old-fashioned, you think back to the sort of Jack Walker days, going back a little bit. They're more of that type, rather than, I've said, the scheming villains that we had before that.
I mean, I've spoken to some people I know that work at the training ground, and they said that when he first arrived, they said he went up to them and says, "You're not up to any trouble." And they turned around and went, no, we're not. They went, well, that's a shame. You're meant to be. Get on with it. Make some trouble. That's the sort of guy he is. I mean, that just sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, it just sounds, my boss, I've got a fantastic boss at the moment. He's got to be one of the best jobs I've ever had. But he sounds just great fun, doesn't he? I've met his brother. It's just great, isn't it? It's just brilliant. The buzz is brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's done almost what Robbins did. From a managerial point of view, from an ownership point of view. So we were on a downward spiral. Every time there was something in the press or the news, or an article came out, something else had gone wrong. So we've got no pitch, we've got no ground, we've got no club shop, we've got no kit. It was every time you were just like, oh, how much more can we take, and how much more are we going to have to put up with? And then obviously all the stick you get from opposition fans for the fact that we were in a mess. And he's just come in. And so, similar to that, when we were just on that downward spiral from a playing perspective, and Mark Robbins came in and he sent us on an upward spiral, Doug King's done the same from an ownership perspective. So now when you see an article, it's something good. So, the club shop's open, that's great. Or we've signed a deal with Hummel, that's great. So every time now, so it just makes you feel positive, and it's just given some stability to the club, I think, hasn't it? And he seems like a really nice bloke, so I think that he seems nice. He's obviously got a good rapport with Mark Robbins. I think that's key. So yeah, I'm happy, and it's just nice. It just will be really nice if we can stop having to have chats about one disaster after another. We can just focus on enjoying our football and enjoying our success under Robbins, and just all of the stuff can just go away, because we don't need that, do we? So that's what he's brought, really.
It doesn't seem conceivable that.
No.
When you look at the start of the season to where we are now, playing at Burton and 3 games where we couldn't ban all this just absolute terrible joke of a start. And now where we are, we've got a club shop open. Hey,
it's like polar opposites, isn't it? It's just so polar opposite.
How the season's gone.
It's the definition of chalk and cheese, though, isn't it? That's how I define it.
And they definitely were cheese, I'll tell you that. That was the last lot.
I just
rotten cheese.
Yeah, this is the best one. Glenn's put it up here. From the clowns to a king. He's right though, isn't it? They just literally, they had no, they because they thought they had loads and loads of money. They couldn't speak to normal people, and it was like we were just dirt and pushed under a rug, and we were being treated badly. We weren't being treated correctly. We were being pulled from pillar to post. Northampton, Birmingham, Burton Albion. You just never knew what was going on, and now we've got what we're seeing now is how a football club's meant to be run. This is normal life. This is what life's meant to be like. This is how it's meant to be being a football fan. You're meant to have all the pieces in the jigsaw fitting together. And it's like when you build a football team. He said when you build a club, you got to build it from the ground upwards. So he started at the training ground, and then he's going to move it forward. Like when you build a football team, you start from the back and you work your way forwards, and that's how you build a football team. So he's doing the same with the club. I just think the guy has just been. I'm just so pleased how happy all the fans are. That the tone around the ground, the away game. We've sold out QPR. I mean, QPR upstairs, £37 for a ticket. I've gone downstairs. They ain't having 37 quid off me this season. I paid 35 last season, and it's a right poo of a ground, isn't it? It's pants. So I've gone downstairs, but sold out at QPR. I mean, come on. And then Blackburn, we haven't had tickets for Blackburn yet. We're going to sell Blackburn out, even if it's on a Tuesday. You watch, I can see it now. Swansea's sold out. Third club this season to sell out at Swansea. Not even Burnley sold out at Swansea. It was only Sunderland, us, and Cardiff sold the away end at Swansea. It's
apparently as well, there's only 3 clubs all season that have had over 1,000 fans for every game, and I think we might let ourselves down at Preston away. But because I don't think that was 1,000, was it? I think it was about 800 there. But other than that one game, there's only us, Sunderland and Middlesbrough that have took at least 1,000 fans to every game. So the fans are there, aren't they? It's just we've been badly treated, and that's the difference with Doug King. He understands that the fans are the lifeblood of the club, and Sisu unfortunately never understood that. They came in and they didn't understand that the fans are the most important thing. You got to get them on side at the start, and if you do that, you can do anything. But they just treated us appallingly. And the trouble is, they were never going to win that back round again. So they needed to go because we needed that fresh start. Like they could have done all this stuff that Doug King's done, but it still wouldn't have been the same because there's still been all the bad blood from the past. So they needed to go to give that fresh start, and he's come in and he's understood how important the fans are, and it's just changed everything, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just great. I just absolutely love it. Now, listen, before we wrap up tonight, because we've had a great show, it's been absolutely superb. I just want to mention we had a winner of our competition to go and see Neville Staple the other week while we were all sunning it up in Blackpool and drinking Jaeger bombs and tequilas and
vodka.
Man, seriously. Oh. I'm not touching a Jaeger bomb ever again.
Sounds like you're reliving your youth again, Miles. The way you're going.
I'll tell you what, I woke up Saturday because I ain't told you, have I? I woke up Saturday. He is now. He's 18. He could buy me a drink Saturday. I woke up Saturday morning. Seriously, I don't even know how I carried it on. But we did find the donkeys. It was brilliant. Richard Taylor kept going. But it's so funny, like walking along the seafront, and we're on the other side of the road. Everywhere you walked in Blackpool, it was just Cov fans. Everywhere you walked, Cov fan. We took more than 4,000 up. I think people just went up for the weekend. I know one person that went up there just for the weekend. He didn't even go to the game. And we're walking down the street in the morning when I got our Kiss Me Quick hats and stuff. And my mate Richard, who sits behind us at the ground, he's mental. The bloke's mental. He's round the bloody twist, I tell you. He go every time we walk past someone. Excuse me, you seen the donkeys? And no. So next person, excuse me, seen the donkeys? It's like, said, shut up. He must have asked about 30 people. You seen the donkeys? Oh man, what a weekend! But yeah, that weekend anyway, we had a competition to go see Neville Staple. Well, we had a winner. His name was Rob Goodman. I tried to get him on tonight. He was busy. He's gone out for the night. But he sent us some photos, so I'm just going to show you a couple of photos of the evening. He sent us a little video as well. So this is his partner and himself holding the ticket up at the old evening at the Rialto. Apparently it was a fantastic evening. That's the stage. Look, it's got a little black and white checkered floor. It's all set up for two-tone. There's Neville on the stage. Oh, what a man he was when I interviewed him the other way. Just him and his wife, just absolutely superb. Lovely people. And here's a little video. So if you do enter a competition, it is real. We do give prizes away. This was one of the winners. So when we have another competition, which we'll have one soon, because we're coming up to our, is it 200th show, Mark?
Yeah. I think this is 195 tonight, so 5 after this one.
Yeah, 5 after this one. Yeah, and we're gonna have another special competition. And here's a little video of Neville. How cool's that? Hey, got to go to the next one.
Yeah, sounds
Gotta
really
go.
good.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
definitely
really good
does.
night out.
Oh, blooming right it does. So, that's it then. That's the end of the show. So, thank you very much for coming on. I will be back live from Dillon's this Saturday from 2 o'clock for a little trip around Dillon's, have some chat with some fans, and we'll get their feelings on the trip to Blackpool and, you know, the international break. We'll see what they're up to and see if any of them went along or if they were, you know, get their score predictions for Saturday. And Mark, you're back on Sunday.
Yeah, back on Sunday, so I hope we'll be talking about a win against Stoke. I've got one guest, Anthony Hornsby, will be coming onto the show. He's been on Sky Blue Fancast, so I'm really looking forward to having him on board. And anyone else wants to come on and be a guest, and obviously send us a message as well. We're always welcome to anyone who wants to come on and give their views about the club and the team.
Yeah, brilliant. And Vic, you coming on Sunday or are you having a rest this weekend?
I'll probably be on, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Brilliant. And John, thank you very much for joining us, mate. You're coming Saturday, aren't you?
Yeah, Saturday, going to Swansea, going to the next 4 games, actually, QPR as well, and Watford in between. So, yeah, hopefully 12 points.
Hopefully. So, you never know. But before we go, John, you've got to give us your best player of all time.
Oh, Dion Dublin. Am I allowed to say that? I know that's sacrilege with some people.
No, you can.
Loved him. Brilliant defender, obviously outstanding attacker, left under a cloud. But for me, when I first got interested in football, he was the one who kept us up on his own to some degree, some seasons. So I'm still a fan. Not so much of his commentary, but great player.
Worst player?
Oh, well, this is a tough one to think about. But in my mind, living in Peterborough, I remember the game where we lost to them. Darius Henderson. You remember when he did that trip over it? He looked like, you know, at the end of Blackadder Goes Forth, where they all fall over in the trenches, got down in slow motion. 5 games he played for us, no goals, big lump up front. So I've picked him. I mean, I could have got Yakubu. I thought of quite a few, but I'll go with Big Darius.
And best goal?
There are so many to choose from, but one of the loudest goals I can ever remember was 2 Froggatt's against Everton, which I was there at. It was a great goal. And another one was George Thomas at Wembley against Wycombe, which was one of the loudest roars I have ever heard in my life. When you look back, the technique to do that, kill it, first time, bang, top. into the corner. Loved that goal. So that's definitely up there.
And best game?
For me, one of the best ones I've ever been to. I was trying to think back to, again, two I thought Sunderland 5-4 was amazing. And one back in the mist of time when we beat Villa 2-1. So our last win against Villa, back on Sky when Robbie and Cedric scored and Dion scored as well. So we're back to him again.
And Vicky, I know I didn't give you much time on this. Have you got a favourite player?
I'd have it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I'd probably go Robbie Keane. Really like Robbie Keane, and I'm still sad that we never kept him for longer than we did. But he's probably one of the best players for me. So yeah, at short notice and without a lot of time to think about it, Robbie Keane's the sort of first player that jumps to mind.
And what about worst?
So I don't really like this because I don't really, you know me, I don't really like, even when players aren't as good as other players, as long as they're trying. But I was probably similar to how John thought about it, but I went Yakubo, literally just because I remember him coming on the pitch, standing not far from me, pulling some muscle and going straight back up again. And I just thought, that's got to be the worst player, hasn't it? So that's my pick. I think as well because he actually was a fairly decent player in his day, wasn't he? So there was quite a lot of excitement about signing him, thinking that he's obviously at the end of his career, but there's a player there. And so I suppose he was actually like the biggest disappointment as well because he really just didn't fulfil anything at all. I mean, it just was the most pointless signing ever, really.
Favourite goal?
I went Jordan Willis in the playoff final. Because one, that was a cracking goal, and two, it meant that my blood pressure actually went down a bit because I was really stressed that day. So the fact that we took the lead helped my blood pressure. So for a lot of reasons, and that obviously set us on course to win that game. So yeah, Jordan Willis in the playoff final. I mean, there's loads of goals you could choose. I mean, Foggett, that's a cracking choice, and there's lots of goals to choose from. But yeah, I'll go Jordan Willis playoff final.
And best game?
So again, it's difficult, isn't it, to try and narrow it down to one game. See, I can't say the playoff final because I was so stressed that day. I can't say I really enjoyed it until like the sort of last 10 minutes or so. It wasn't a good day. Whereas like when we went in the Checker Trail, I enjoyed that much more. I was much more relaxed that day, so that was good. But probably between that and maybe like the Notts County. Although if we then go back into the sort of depths of time, like maybe Villa away when we beat them 4-1, that was a good one. A couple of games in that season and around about that sort of time, like when we beat Arsenal, I think was it 3-2 over the Christmas break and things like that. So yeah, but if you're going to push me to one, I'll say Notts County away, playoff semi-final.
Yeah, and Mark, favourite player?
Well, there's quite a few that I could think of. I'll give you my short list of players.
You only allowed one.
We have to pick one. Me and John have to narrow it down to one.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
Okay, if you're going to make me, Gary McAllister would be my one. I think Gary McAllister was
good shout.
Nice. A really good leader, creative player. Just probably the best midfielder I've ever seen in Coventry since his shirt in the year. So
he helped Dion Dublin as well, really, didn't he? Dion Dublin flourished from the chances he got. That was a good partnership, really. So you and John, that's a good partnership between you.
Worst?
Brilliant. Yeah, I was going to say Darius Henderson as well. He was absolutely useless from the games that I saw him. Another one was Peter Vincenti as well, who wasn't particularly good. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a few players I could think of, but I think it would be Henderson for me.
And best goal?
That's a really hard question, really, because there's been a lot of good goals. I would say I'm gonna say probably the Huckabee goal against Man United when we won 3-2. I thought that was a really good goal. But then I've seen some of the goals this season. I'll go for that one as the answer. Yeah. But other goals, I think this season. I mean, some of the goals Hayman's scored this season have been sublime as well, and the Ocares goal with Wigan was incredible. But I think I thought the goal when we beat Man United 3-2 was just unbelievable, because Man United back then, as you know, were just a brilliant team, and a great achievement to beat them.
Alex Ferguson said he was like playing on a beach. Both teams had to play on it. And best ever game?
Well, I'm going to basically answer the games I've been to, the Coventry City fans. So I would probably say the win against Arsenal in '99 that sort of Vicky mentioned earlier, because I was with my family at that game. We're Arsenal fans that are sitting in the Coventry.
Cool.
It made for a very, very pleasant journey home. And I remember ringing up CWR. I think it was Rob Gurney at the time. And it was very, very quiet in the car apart from me. So that's probably my favourite game of the City fan. That game, definitely.
Cool.
Well, Fetter's come up. Good evening, Fetter. Hope you're all right, mate. Hope you've sobered up from Blackpool. Favourite player past was Robbie Keane or Mo Cognac. Like it. Mine would be best player ever for me. God bless him. Is Big Cyril. Big Cyril for me is just amazing. And Big Vic reminds me of him a little bit, to be honest with you. Just wish he could finish a little bit like Cyril a bit more. But Big Cyril's my favourite. Worst player, Kevin Drinkle. Thought he was awful. Dreadful player. Although he did score a winner at QPR, if I remember right. So maybe we could do with him in a couple of weeks' time. Best goal for me, wow, there's that many. I'll have to go more present day because more people will probably remember it than me saying something back in the past. But I agree with you, Mark, on the Darren Huckabee one. I thought that was brilliant. But say present day best goal was Max Biamu at Peterborough, his bicycle kick. I just thought, boom. When I think we drew that game in the end and we should have won it. But that goal was just phenomenal. What a goal that was. And my best game, it just has to be the '87 FA Cup final, I'm afraid. That day was just something in history making that no one can. I don't think we'll ever see it again, to be honest with you. And I think for me, that has to be the best game I've ever seen in my commentary life and following them. I mean, there are loads of other games, obviously at Highfield Road against Liverpool, Peter Unlove at Anfield, Darren Huckabee at Anfield, things like that. You know, there's so many different games, but for me, it's got to be the FA Cup final, to be honest with you. I just think it's been that for me. I was 13 at the time, and I remember coming back and there was people on the M1 hanging bed sheets over the bridges saying congratulations Sky Blues, you know, things like that. You're driving up the M1 and they're not even Cov fans, they're just people from different towns putting, you know, these painted bed sheets, congratulations Sky Blues, and then coming down the Walsgrave Road into the city centre with the van door open in the back, and we're leaning out and people out of their houses waving flags and cheering as all us fans were driving home that day. Just you never ever see that again, I don't think. It was just phenomenal. But yeah,
I think it'll be very generational, won't it, Miles? The answer to your questions, unfortunately, '87 is before my time. I didn't go to a game before '93, so I missed out on Cyril. I missed out on that cup final. But then you ask certain fans, and they'd probably say favourite player would be players going back even further than Cyril, that like none of us have seen because we're all just too young. So it's very generational, isn't it? What the answers you'll get to that question depending on who you asked. And then you ask, I mean, probably someone like Will, like your dad, like 18 years, his answer is going to be completely different because he won't have seen some of those things at all, will he? So yeah.
We'll say one player that we haven't mentioned as well that I absolutely loved, and when he left, the only one I've had a bit of a lump in my throat, Michael Doyle in recent times, where just obviously what we're talking about, all these good times, he was such a pivotal part of the start of that, and you think just seriously when he left at the end of the promotion season, really emotional. Tore at me a little bit, which was so different to when he left the first time, and I couldn't give a toss that he left. To be honest, the second time, just I
think he was a lot more mature, wasn't he? And I think he was more of a leader, and he knew that he had to lead that team out of that division, and he did. He led that team with Kelly, and they both did it together. I think those two. I think they did a fantastic job. Well, listen, we've come to the end of the show. Just a quick one from Feta. Present goal, Big Vic against Wigan. As you just said, Vic, it will all depend on age groups and that. But yeah, present goal, Big Vic against Wigan, fantastic. And then Dion Dublin's goal at Highfield Road against Newcastle. I think that meant the one where he comes around the back and nicks it off Shay Given. Yeah, so... but yeah, thanks again. We've had Mark on. Thank you, Mark. Very, hope you've enjoyed it tonight.
Yeah, and I hope everyone else has enjoyed it who's tuned in to watch us. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. Yeah, loads of watchers. Thank you so much. And Vicky, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, Miles. It's been good fun.
Brilliant, excellent. And John, thank you very much for coming on, mate. You're more than welcome any other time.
No problem. Anytime you like.
All right. And just a big thank you, like Mark's just said, to everyone that watched tonight. Hope you come back again. Mark will be on Sunday. I'll be on from 2 o'clock outside Dillon's this Saturday. And Ken will be back next Thursday. Play up Sky Blues. Let's go for 3 points this weekend. And let's make a real big late push for these playoffs. See you later, everyone. You've been watching Sky Blue Fans TV. I've been Milesy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.
Yeah, bye.